As the climate continues to warm, we're seeing increasing frequencies and intensities of heat waves across the planet. And these heat waves are associated with increases in heat-related illness, exacerbation of chronic illnesses like cardiovascular diseases, respiratory diseases, and we're also seeing increased mortalities and even disproportionately affecting actually pregnant mothers and infants.
So the Kenya Meteorological Department, where I work, does not necessarily operate an early warning for heat in Nairobi.
There's little awareness of heat among the people, and so most of the impacts go unnoticed.
Nairobi is a growing city, and one of the challenges posed with increased urbanization and population is climate or environmental related challenges. And one of the climatic impacts, of course, is the increasing temperatures. And so we kind of need a strategy, of course, through the heat action plan.
So we're starting by looking at an heat early warning system that will be spearheaded by the Meteorological Department of Kenya, and it will be integrated into the heat action plans at the city of Nairobi. We've been here in Rajkot trying to understand how they developed their heat action plan, how they've designed the early warning system, what is working for them, and how they've actually sort of overcome the challenges, and how we can borrow from those experiences to actually design ours at home.
In case of India, heat action plans are becoming more and more common and more important for cities. It has started quite some time back with some severe heat waves when a few cities have been severely impacted, and they have started taking action. For instance, Ahmedabad is one of the first cities which came up with a heat action plan. This is in Gujarat. And since then, several cities have started working on heat. Nagpur notably was one of them in the central part of India. And now, apart from many other cities, Rajkot has been also a very important city which has taken up work on heat, particularly on urban cooling, on how to cool down spaces within the urban areas.
You have tried some very innovative ways like changing the orientation of a building so that the wind flow is increased and hence by the temperature comes down. Another intervention was making cavity walls which serves as insulation. Third was resizing the size of doors and windows. Fourth was changing the material they use for the roofs and all. All this together brought down the temperature of these houses by almost 5%.
An early warning system, by its own definition, is something that has many components, from the monitoring, detection, measuring, all the way to the system itself being triggered and the people who are affected being managed. So I believe such a visit will help us understand the different components and know what is it that has been done, what has been the success, what is it that we can improve.
So my expectations for this tour are to see what is already being done in other parts of the world, and India is a leader actually in developing heat action plans, especially because they experience very varied weather and very high temperatures, and so they've been able to, with the support of their government, develop action plans to safeguard their communities.
I'm so excited in knowing how different departments within the city of Rajkot just basically work together. I think that is the main challenge when it comes to Nairobi city, and how the different departments are able to coordinate and just work together. So far we've been working in silos, like when it comes to coordinating or even collecting data. When you talk about health data, we have the health department. When you talk about the planning data and what is needed, the planning. We talk about environment, where we collect air quality data. So how do we integrate all this? Because like when you talk about even temperature data, we talk about air quality, which affects and is affected by increasing temperatures. So just how do we coordinate?
Rajkot has done a lot of innovation when it comes to development of urban cooling frameworks. For example, apart from developing the heat resilient plan through their climate resilience action plan, We have seen practical actions like development of urban parks, which we can be able to go back to Nairobi and also, work on our open spaces and particularly do a lot of greening on them.
The way they're designing the new affordable housing project is that they have designed the buildings in a way that it allows for open air flow, and we saw that they've put reflective materials on the rooftops to allow for less heat to accumulate in the buildings.
We have been able to see the city of Rajkot dedicating special wards to the patients affected by the heat phenomena in Rajkot. So, as much as Nairobi City County has dedicated, emergency numbers to deal with such cases, emergency cases, it will be advisable for the city of Nairobi also to dedicate, special wards where similar, patients can be handled when it comes to these emergencies.
A lot of work has been done to incorporate the users or to consider the users. And why this is important is with any early warning or action plan, it goes beyond just the issuing of information into how do they address potential impacts, do they know what the potential impacts are, and how do they move the people to actually act in accordance with the plan.
Another very interesting intervention that we saw in Rajkot this past week or this week is the shading that the city has provided around the bus stops. So during each episodes, passengers can actually get some time to cool down. So it reduces heat exhaustion, heat stress, the people waiting there. And we saw this as a great intervention.
So I think what stood out for me is the coordination. You have a command center that have all information coming in. You have an India Met department that has different thresholds for different parts of the country that triggers the alert. And then of course we have people who are ready to receive the patients.
I think learning exchanges are extremely important for any kind of work that is being done. Not only because we want to learn from successes, but also because we want to learn from the failures of people. We don't have the time or the luxury to make the mistakes for all of us to make the same mistakes and then learn from it. We need to learn from each other's mistakes and we need to take action accordingly.
India is a developing country just like Kenya is, and so circumstances are relatively similar. So it's easy for us in our context to learn from what our colleagues or others are doing in this part of the world. And then it avoids or it prevents us from starting absolutely from scratch with everything. So if we see what systems work, how they face the challenges that they face, how they overcome them, the challenges that come up, then we can be able to do something similar.
As much as cities face the same problem, they kind of face it in different scales because of basically how they are built or how infrastructure-wise in terms of climatic conditions. So kind of just tailoring all this and adapting this into the local context.
I want to believe that Nairobi is going to set a very good examples for other cities which are likely to face extremities in terms of urban heat. We know that Nairobi has a growing urban population, and there's a lot of development which is also exacerbating the urban heat phenomena. But when you look at cities like Mombasa, Kisumu, and also Lodwar, there's a likelihood of this heat affecting more citizens. So we can be able to use Nairobi as the baseline, and then we advance this kind of study to those particular cities.
So what the heat action plans therefore are intended, one, to create awareness for the population, tell the population what are really the risks of this as we even talk about our climatic issues.
So we were very happy to host the Kenyan delegation. They were quite interested, they were quite resourceful. They were involved in probably all the pilgrimages or the conversations or the meetings, and they gave us very tacit feedback almost about everything. So we are really grateful to them and would definitely like to host them anytime in future again.
Projects such as this on heat health and beyond are facilitated by the CLARE Opportunities Fund, which seeks to enable the translation of existing research and drive evidence into action towards sustainable outcomes that supports the needs identified by decision makers in Africa and Asia Pacific.